I believe we can start anyway. We have 94 people here, which is more than we've ever had. So welcome everyone. It's really exciting. There will be a POP or POAP as some people call it today. You don't need to do anything. We're using a new bot that is able to tell whether you're actually attending or not. So yeah, you'll at the end of the call, you'll get a link in your DMs to claim your POP from a profile called DGen with a black and red bankless style profile picture. It's not a scam. It's the link to claim the POP for this event. So just look out for that at the end of the call. But yeah, the agenda for today is slightly different than it was before. We'll be starting off with the wPOKT update, followed by the update on the status of the Ledger wallet. Then we'll have Andrew come up to talk about his proposal to upgrade the protocol to split validators from servicers beyond 1,000 nodes. And then I'll give a quick overview of two proposals that I just published within the last hour to incentivize contributors in the DAO and make the DAO itself more accessible. So yeah, without any further ado, I think we will start with the wPOKT update. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Jack. Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming. And yeah, we have over 100 people here. So really glad to see this. So yeah, let's talk about wPOKT. We will not be launching wPOKT in Q4. This is for a couple reasons. Most importantly, the security of the bridge. As I think most of you know, the big holdup for us up until today has been getting this bridge done. I'll give some more information as to kind of why that is and what's happened over the last couple of months. And also, we were on track for a mid-December launch, but we also feel that that's a pretty bad time to launch, right around Christmas time, end of year. We feel like waiting till Q1 is a better for kind of the community and just everyone in general. So, we kind of got ahead of our skis early on launching or announcing wPOKT. We got the app done pretty quickly, but the bridge quickly became kind of the big blocker for this. For those of you who don't know, Pocket is not a smart contract blockchain. Many of the bridges that we see today are really designed for smart contract blockchains. So it's been a little bit more difficult for us to find the right people to build the right bridge for us. And we've also, once we announced wPOKT, we also really saw a pretty large amount of growth from about 4 or 5 months ago to today. And frankly, the team has been pretty strapped on responding to that growth, to be completely honest. But a couple of things that have happened, just so you guys have some context. We had been vetting and doing due diligence on quite a few projects for bridges for Pocket. During some of that process, several of them got hacked. So we kind of went back to the drawing board. We didn't feel comfortable working with these kinds of protocols or solutions. We finally came across a really great team that's been working on the current bridge as is. In our conversations with Ferrum, which was one of the proposals for the second bridge that has been announced, we did change the scope of the first one that's being built. This scope was changed from a mint burn bridge to a liquidity lock. The primary reason for this was for security concerns. If the bridge were to be compromised on a dynamic mint and burn bridge, that would put the entire project at risk because someone would be able to say mint an unlimited amount of wPOKT, and it was pretty critical and important for us to make sure that with any risk that we have, we mitigate it as best as possible. So a couple weeks ago, we decided to change the scope of the project the bridge itself from that mint and burn to liquidity lock. Additionally, the Ferrum proposal requires a token contract that can be owned by multiple bridges. So it made a lot of sense for us to do that as well. We expect this bridge to be finally completed sometime in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So we'll actually expect this to be done pretty soon. This, of course, has added some time to it, but nonetheless, we feel pretty comfortable with that at this point. So basically, the next steps for kind of the launch roadmap is basically the final delivery of the bridge, auditing the bridge, finalizing the numbers for the copper launch and the farming itself, and then we'll be dry run and testing everything, of course. And then, of course, we'll be also publishing guides on how to participate in advance of the launch. One thing that I think we could have done much better is, frankly, communicating with everyone on where we're at with this. So we're actually doing a couple things so that there's a lot more clarity from your end, so that you can really much more closely see what's happening and where we're at. We're going to update wrapped.pocket.network with a landing page and a progress bar. Once the progress bar is 100%, you can expect us to announce a date for Wrapped Pocket. So this is basically a milestone-based roadmap, so you guys have clarity. And we are going to be publishing kind of a devlog on that site every Wednesday. That'll kind of communicate where we're at with the project in terms of status, how it affects timeline, and so on and so forth. I'll post a screenshot of that, of the that kind of progress bar, if you will, or I'm sorry, on one of our chats here in the lobby. But effectively, that's where we're at with Wrapped Pocket today. The entire team is frankly really excited to be launching this. We just want to make sure that this is a pretty big deal for us, and we just want to make sure that, frankly, it's as secure as possible, and that's really what matters for us more than anything at this point. So with that, I'll give it a pause. I know we have a lot on the docket, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Maybe a couple questions. I don't know what you think, Jack. Otherwise, happy to answer them in the chat or after the call or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I think we do have time actually to have more of a discussion about it if people want to ask questions. Yeah, there is a fair bit on the docket, but some of those items won't take too long to cover. So if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand. There's a button on your screen with a hand. You just click that and we'll be able to bring you up to the stage to ask your question.
Yeah, I see the question, Lunatera. Yeah, we're aiming for mid to late January. This is really, at this point, dependent on audits. I don't know if anyone has worked with audit companies, but they're quite busy today. So we're starting to get in queue for them to take a look at what we've built. So if that goes smoothly, we could expect a late January or mid to late January or early February launch at this point.
Okay, we have some raised hands as well, so I'm going to bring those people up. Akash first. Okay, I've clicked move to audience. I think maybe you need to accept it, Akash. Here we go. Hey.
Thank you, Jack. First of all, great efforts by the team and love the progress and all the hard work that the team is putting in. My question is around the Harmony relays and the issue that they are facing. So how soon can we, start serving them back?
Yeah, so I've talked a little bit about this issue in Telegram, and I'm planning to publish a post to the forum at some point explaining what's going on there with the Harmony public RPC. Essentially, there is we'll actually be publishing a newsletter today, which will include those details as well. But essentially, there is the drop in the relays with Harmony is pretty much all attributed to their public RPC. Not a lot of people realize this, but Pocket was actually serving their public RPC. Pockets was like in the rotation for the RPC, and essentially there was an issue that our engineers working with the Harmony engineers uncovered, where the Harmony's RPC expected the block height of a node it's calling to be the same as the previous node it called, even if doing so is not relevant to the historical data that's being called or what have you. So what I can say is that our engineers are actually working closely with the Harmony core team. That relationship is still ongoing. The relays that you see for Harmony today are all apps that are using us for Harmony service through the portal, and they are all still using us. The drop-in relays is all the public RPC. And if our engineers working with the Harmony team can solve that stickiness issue that I referenced, then we can expect that traffic from the public RPC to come back. So I know that that's been worked on right now, and I think we can potentially have an answer on whether that will be feasible in the coming next couple of weeks.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Jack.
Quick note, just so we make sure we get through everything, if we could keep, at least during the process, the questions associated with the topic, and then we could probably leave things open for kind of more broad questions if they weren't addressed at the end. If that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, I think we'll have time at the end to talk about any broad topics that people want to bring up.
Can I just interrupt 1 second, Jack? The timeline is quite a bit shorter than that. We tested the good fix yesterday. It was a little off. We're testing the fix actually right now for Harmony RPC. And your explanation of it was very good, that it's just a matter of request ordering that certain apps on that public RPC demand for their specific app usage. So we're actually testing the fix right now. Obviously, there's no guarantee that it'll work, but it could be as early as this weekend that we get back to the public RPC.
Yep. If we see relays shoot back up to what they were before on the Harmony chain, then you can all assume that fix was successful.
I'll announce it in Node Runner before anything starts, so that people can be prepared.
Good call. So yeah, thanks, Akash. I think we had another question, but that hand has not. That hand has been lowered, I guess. If you wanted to ask that question, and it was relevant to that pocket, feel free to put your hand up again. If not, you can ask it at the end as well. Okay, do we have any more questions in text? I don't believe we have any more in the lobby channel. Wonder, are there any questions happening in Telegram? Nope, I don't think I think we're good to move on to the next topic. If you do think of a question, someone just raised their hand. Here we go. I've invited you to the stage. You'll need to accept it on your end. There we go.
Okay then, hello there, can you hear me?
Hi, yep.
Oh yeah, I came into the chat, I think slightly a bit too late, and I'm not sure if I heard this correctly, but did you mention that there's a competition at the end of the stream?
No, I think maybe you're talking about the POP or POAP that I referenced.
All right, okay. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. Basically, we have a bot that's monitoring who is currently on the call, and everyone who's in the call, if they meet a certain threshold of time in the call, we'll get a DM from the bot with a link to claim a POAP.
Oh, okay then, cool. Thank you so much.
No problem. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. So I think we can move on to the next topic. Thanks for that update, Mike. The next topic is, I believe, the ledger update. So yeah, I'll invite Alex back up to the stage to update us on the status of the ledger wallet.
Yeah, hi there. So we've contracted one of the major Ledger contractors that was recommended to us by the actual Ledger team. We contracted them quite a few weeks ago now, about 2 months. We got in their schedule. They've been working hard. They just delivered their first draft of our Ledger app to us yesterday. So we have one dev on our side going full-time on the wallet integration with the Ledger so that the existing web wallet will be able to use the Ledger directly. We have another dev that's also working in the background on some redesigns to the current wallet, so it's a little easier to use, a little easier to import your keys. So the web wallet's getting a little bit of a polish as it's getting more use. I know this isn't necessarily appropriate to the Ledger, but we also have a downloadable wallet in production by a completely separate contractor who's done downloadable web wallets before, also the developer of NodePilot. So in the very near future, we'll have a much more secure and robust way of storing your keys, storing your pocket. You'll have the choice of either using a downloadable wallet to your personal computer or the web wallet, as always, and interact with your Ledger. So the Ledger integration should be no hitches. Like I said, this team has done upwards of a couple dozen Ledger integrations in the past, including other Tendermint-based chains like us. It's already in production, so the big delay is going to be waiting for review from Ledger itself so that we can be a fully installed app on the Ledger apps. So this isn't going to be some sidecar that you have to download and install randomly from a website or anything. We are going to be a full app on the Ledger site with our logo and all of that, but that can take time depending on how slammed their review team is, and basically how easy we make it for them to review it. So our goal is to make that super easy, get our wallets updated to include the Ledger, and everyone on the team is excited for that, so that we can all have better cold storage. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. And I believe some of you will have seen sneak peeks of that new wallet app. I posted in Telegram before with screenshots. But yeah, this new wallet app will have a browser version and then also a desktop Electron version, and that will be compatible with the Ledger when it goes live. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Do we have any questions about the Ledger and wallet updates? Oh, yeah. We've got Shane up.
Yeah, I had a question. Would the Ledger be able to be used with validators in any kind of way, or is this mainly just for holding in cold storage?
I don't see it interacting with the CLI. I mean, obviously, you probably could write some sort of thing to do that. That would be pretty difficult to actually interact with a validator that way. If you can imagine having to unlock Ledger and sign a transaction to start up the validator, I'm not sure. I think what you're really more looking for is, what's coming up in the future 8.0 release of stake delegation, one-to-one delegating your stake, so that your private key obviously never has to touch your server. That's going to be a much better solution than any sort of cold wallet integration, I think.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, it looks like we've got more discussion about wPOKT, but we can bring that up at the end again. Okay, the next subject is a protocol upgrade proposal that Andrew has put forward on behalf of the protocol developer team. Andrew, do you want to come up and talk a little bit about that?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this proposal just briefly. Shouldn't take too long. For those of you who are around for PUP4 or the 6.0 days, this should be very familiar. We talked about separation of service and validators for quite a while. The ultimate idea behind it was Tendermint is like relatively limited to its validator capacity. Meaning in their documentation, they really only specify hundreds of validators to be used in its max use case. We're currently at like 12,000. So we're pushing it quite a bit. And we've known this for quite a while. We knew that at some point we would have to separate servicing and validation. We actually tried to do it for 6.0. What ended up happening was there was an actual issue with the implementation in 6.0 for Pocket Core. We recognized that pretty early on, and we ended up moving the parameter. So our solution was, okay, let's wait for 7.0, the next consensus breaking change. Let's raise the parameter. All of this was done through DAO proposals, for those who've been following on the forum. And where we're at now is that we're growing so quickly that we basically believe that we need to preemptively do this even before all of the other 7.0 features that are kind of spec'd out in previous community calls for those who are there are released. What this means is we're actually going to do two different consensus breaking changes, or it's proposed to do two different consensus breaking changes. The first of which is getting us back to safety in terms of the validator count. So why do we have this hard number at 18K? It's really quite simple. Tendermint hard coded 223 bytes per validator, depending on the maximum vote size, which is their pre-vote and their pre-commit votes that go in every block. What this means is no matter what they actually vote or how many votes are there, you're eating into the block size just by sheer validator count. What this means is at 18K validators, we will not have block size space left for transactions. So we'll have to do a few things. The first of which is lower the validator count or raise the block size. Now, Tendermint's block size is actually quite integral to the system. It's a consensus parameter. It's actually not a DAO parameter. So from a technical perspective, lowering the validator count makes a lot of sense already. And when you think on top of that, all of the scalability challenges of pushing Tendermint to where we've pushed it today, it makes a whole lot of sense, especially for those of the community who have been around since the 5.0 days, the 5.x release days. You can remember greener pastures when we had like 1,000 validators with much less efficient software, and we were running gangbuster on Tendermint. The idea is let's get back to that level of stability with the new 6.4 software, or what's going to be the 7.0 software. Ensure that we don't close off the community from becoming servicers, and implement the same on the bench features as was proposed in PUP4. Now, I realize that a lot of people weren't around for that original the original validator and servicer separation. So let me explain how that works very quickly. Basically, the idea is the top 1,000 stakers will be participating as both validators and servicers. Currently, that means if you're staking above 15.5K pocket, you will be in the validator set, just according to today's data. If you are below that amount, you are not participating as a validator, but you are participating as a servicer, and you will still receive the same rewards as a servicer. The only difference is currently the validators receive, when they produce a block, they receive 1% of the total relay reward for that specific block, and they're able to capture that functionality as well. So this separation allows us to expand the server size far beyond the bottleneck, which is Tendermint's consensus algorithm, and still ensure that we have an open playing field for the servicers and keep the validator set within the bounds of scalability that Tendermint is built for. If somebody were to leave who's in the higher staking set, meaning let's say you're at 15.5K and somebody's at 15.6K, and let's say your validator 1001 ordered by your stake amount, and they unstake or they go to jail for whatever reason, you are then subbed in from the bench into the validator set seamlessly. And then if other people were to join, you would be bumped out of the validators that are higher stake. You would be bumped out of the validator set, and you would no longer be participating as a validator, but you would still be a servicer. And so it's automatic kind of transitioning between validators and servicing. The general premise of separating servicers and validators has been there since 6.0, where we were trying to do it for 7.0, but now the roadmap, just to be crystal clear, would be 7.0 as soon as possible, just with the separation of validators and servicers, and then having 8.0 with all of the features promised and communicated about that we're supposed to be in 7.0. I believe that summarizes it all. If I missed anything, Jack, Luis, or anyone who believes that there needs further clarification, please ask a question now, and I'd be happy to answer.
Could I just add a little bit to that, Andrew?
Sure.
Yeah, in terms of the economics for node runners, you're not going to notice barely any impact on your rewards or anything like that. If you didn't know, you get 0.01 pocket is created per request that you serve. 10% of that goes to the DAO, Treasury, 89% of that goes to the node who did the work, and 1% goes to the validator that was chosen to be a leader for that moment in time. So it's very likely that if you're already at the minimum stake, you are very rarely getting chosen to be a block producer, block proposer, either way. So if you are not in the kind of core validator set, participating consensus, you're going to notice a very tiny impact, if any at all, on your reward. I just wanted to clarify that point a bit more.
Yeah, this also dramatically increases the change capacity for more servicer nodes. Because servicers no longer being bundled with validators means that 18K is no longer the limit as far as servicers go. I think that's the key takeaway is by making this change, we unlock more capacity for more servicers to come on board. Do we have any questions about the servicer validator split? I'll post a link to the proposal in Discord. In the lobby channel. You can, we've seen a lot more people engaging in the forum lately, which is really great to see. If you have any more thoughts on this proposal, you can go ahead and reply in that thread as well. And that should be going to a vote likely towards the end of this weekend or early next week. So yeah, if you have any thoughts on that, make your voice heard. Oh, we have a question here. Oh, there we go. Hey, Cohen. You're muted at the moment.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, I was wondering. So if one of the selected validators gets slashed, they drop out of the set. What happens when they unjail themselves and are back into operation?
Right. So it's a dynamic set, meaning that for that specific scenario that you laid out, if you're slashed, you go to jail. You are subbed out, of course, and then somebody's bumped into your place. Likely, in a ordered queue, if you think about it in that way. And then when you unjail, if you have more staking power than the minimum, you will be subbed in, likely back into the same position, depending on how, if that slash impacted your stake to move you down, or if an edit stake moved you back up. So you would be subbed back in, and the person who was subbed in for you, meantime, would be subbed back out if they were the last in the queue. Is that clear?
Yeah, just the only part that I'm not missing still is how fast are these replacements going? Is that every block that is getting updated, or is it longer term, or?
Yeah, it's actually every block. So Tendermint requires us, or the ABCI app of Pocket Core, to give them the validator set every single block. So when you are jailed, it can take, of course, 5 blocks for you to get jailed. But once you're jailed, the movement is automatic, meaning per block automatic. And then if you are unjailed, the movement would be, of course, automatic back in. But the state transit, the discrete unit of state changes, the quickest it can be is per block. So that's when it happens.
Hey, I don't know if this was mentioned. Is there a weight for how validators are chosen? Are the validators with more staked more likely to be chosen to be a validator? Is there any kind of weighting mechanism, or is it fair among the or equal chance, I should say, among all of the validators?
So, good question. It's the top 1K, or the proposal specifies 1K. So it's the top 1K stakers, meaning your stake amount is your validator power. Pocket Network is a proof of stake network. So our consensus algorithm, even today, operates in a weighted stake system, meaning that to be a block proposer, your chances go linearly up depending on your stake amount.
Yeah, being a servicer is equal chance regardless of stake. So someone with 15K has equal chance of being selected as a servicer as someone with 16K. But the validator set is proportional to stake. Any more questions about that subject?
I have a quick question. What happens if you've got, say, 10 nodes, say 998 to 1007, that have the same exact stake? How does the fix resolve for that, out of curiosity?
Can you repeat the question, Mike? You mean if they're at the border, if you're at the very border? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you have, say, 10 nodes that have the same exact stake, but there's only 2 slots left or something like that, right? How does the fix resolve for that? Let's say, like, I don't know, 998 to 1005 or something like that. They all have the same exact stake, but they're at the very bottom.
Right. So in that is an edge case. Tendermint actually handles that lexicographically. So it's not necessarily fair because you just select the higher. I think Tendermint selects the higher public key, but at the same time, it's not that sort of resolution is kind of baked into our 12K validators because you can't update your public key dynamically. So one of the basically what Tendermint will do from those 10 is order them lexicographically, select those top 2 if there's only 2 slots left. But what you're really talking about is somebody who's, you know, an edge case where you have 10 of the exact same stake to the U pocket, and these guys are all at the border. So, but yeah, that's technically how it works.
Thanks.
We have a question here asking what is the income difference generally if you're a validator versus just a mere servicer? So I can answer that. So of every block reward, where the block reward is proportional to the number of relays that have been done, 1% of the block reward goes to the validator, 89% of the block reward goes to the servicer. To one additional nuance there, the validator gets 1% of the entire rewards in the block, whereas the servicer gets 89% of the rewards that they did the work for within the block. So as we scale as a network and we have a lot more relays being done, that 1% per block does end up becoming more attractive. So there's going to be an economic calculation that people are going to have to make about whether they're optimizing for relay rewards or validator rewards. Because with relay rewards being equally distributed regardless of stake size, if you want to maximize the number of relay rewards that you're getting, it's better to have all of your nodes be staked as close to 15K pocket as possible. But since validator rewards is proportional to the size of your stake, if you want to optimize for validator rewards, then you want to consolidate all of your pocket in one node. So there's a trade-off there that people are going to have to make, a decision that people are going to have to make about which they're optimizing for. So far, people have been optimizing for relay rewards, which is why out of 12,000 nodes, the top 1,000, the 1,000th node actually only has 15.5K pocket staked. 11,000 of the remaining 12,000 have less than 15.5K pocket staked. So obviously, pretty much everyone today is optimizing for relay rewards. So I personally didn't anticipate this proposal really changing things for people in practice in terms of what the rewards that they're receiving already. But yeah, as we scale, people that have the ability to consolidate into one validator will need to start calculating, okay, how many validator rewards could I be able to get my hands on? Should I maybe optimize for that rather than relay rewards? And yeah, Alberto has just posted a link to the docs with some more details on the node economics. Thanks for that. Yeah, someone has suggested in Telegram that Pocket Scan will need to add a table for top 1,000 Pocket stake sizes. Great point there. I had to, when I was looking at to try and find out what the 1,000th node size was, I had to sort the node table by descending order and then go through like 20 pages. So yeah, this would be a great feature. So yeah, Overlord, if you're here, take note. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions on this subject. Oh yeah, we have one question here. Is there an amount of Pocket that guarantees you'll be on the top 1,000 validators? No, there's not, because it depends on how much other people are staking. But yeah, I'm sure that with something like Pocket Scan, we can provide more visibility into how much you need to stake if you want to be in the top 1,000s. Over time, as the relay count grows, I expect there to be a little bit more consolidation, and I expect the average stake size to increase. So I do, at the moment, it's very easy to be a validator. You're only going to need 15.5k Pocket. But as the relay count grows, I expect that number to increase. So yeah, I can't really say, predict what that amount of Pocket will be to get on the top 1,000s, but with the right tooling, we'll be able to monitor that and make it easier for people to see. Any more questions? I don't think so. Okay, I'll move on to the next subjects then, and then after that, we'll be done with everything that's on the docket, and I will be able to take it on to general discussion, general questions. So the last topics are both mine. There are two proposals, related proposals that I submitted hot off the press earlier today. Both of them relating to how we onboard community members into the DAO and recognize and reward contributors. The community has become a lot more engaged in the last couple of months, and I want to maintain that momentum and empower people that are getting more involved. So there's two proposals here. I'll post the links to them in the Discord. So we've got the first one here, PIP 8, about using Coordinape for onboarding of contributors and voters. And then we've got PEP 16, which is a universal contributor income. So the first one, PIP 8, essentially, this is an attempt to resolve what I have observed, and many people have observed. I know a few people in Telegram have commented on this. I believe Jinx and Lex have had discussions about this recently in Telegram, about how it's quite difficult to become a voter in the DAO right now. There's a lot of friction. So the way that you currently become a voter in the DAO is there's two things that you need to do. First is you need to complete a series of quests, which you report in Discord in the trophies channel. These are, the quests for this are outlined in the docs. I'll just post a link to that as well. But basically these quests are essentially trying to objectively assess how much you are doing as a member of the community and how much experience you have in Pocket, whether that's as a node runner, as a developer of a DApp that uses Pocket, as a community member, or as a contributor / DAO member. Here's a link to the information about that in the lobby channel. And to give you an example, the node runner path. If you want to qualify for voting the DAO, you have to complete some of the following quests. So you first have to complete all three of the following. You need to stake your node. You need to do one proof transaction. So you need to process one relay and earn pocket for it. And you need to be able to stay unjailed for 7 days. That's the first level. Then the next level is you need to complete 5 of the following quests. You need to stay unjailed for 1 month total. You can't be jailed at any point during that consecutive 1 month period. You need to do 50,000 relays as a node. You need to help another community member set up their node. Build your own tooling or contribute to existing tooling. Participate in beta testing of a new protocol version. Contribute to documentation for node running, or to tutorials, etc. And then this last one, which a lot of people will be able to get soon before this next consensus-breaking change, is to upgrade your nodes before the network in general adopts the new protocol version. So you need to complete 5 of those. I believe there will be a lot of people in the community here on the call that have already qualified, that have already done 5 out of 8 of those quests that I just listed. Just to be clear, you are eligible for these quests, even if your node is being run by a third party, like Coder, block spaces, etc. So yeah, I believe there's a lot of people that are already qualified. So that's one step. And then the next step is that you need to get verified with Bright ID. Bright ID is a social identity graph where you connect with other people by scanning their QR codes. You get sponsored by an app that is in the Bright ID network. And then eventually you get verification status. It's a little bit of a black box. I think Jinx can attest to that. There's not really any feedback on how close you are to getting verified, who you need to get verified with. And the key problem with Bright ID is that it's a social graph. You could get verified by connecting to one person if that one person is at the center of the social graph. But it's a social graph for the Bright ID community, which we, the Pocket Network community, don't have much overlap with. So it's quite difficult for us to get each other verified if we're not also interacting with the Bright ID community. So that's the current state of affairs. And PIT 8 is a suggestion that we should adopt Coordinape. This is a DAO tool that was developed, spun out of the Yearn Finance community. And essentially, they have a vouching system where anyone that's already in this circle of contributors can nominate other contributors and then vouch for them. Whereas Bright ID requires connecting with people and hoping that you'll eventually get verified, in this instance, it would be quite straightforward, quite transparent. If one existing member of the Coordinape circle nominates you, and then a total of 3 existing contributors in the circle vouch for you, then you are now a member of the circle. You're officially recognized contributor. And my proposal is that this, because in a sense it's also a social graph, but it's specific to Pocket, can replace Bright ID as our anti-Sybil system for governance. So you would still need to go through these quests to get qualified, but the highest friction part of the process right now, which is Bright ID, would be replaced by Coordinape. And I believe that it will make getting a vote in the DAO much easier. So I'm sure Jinx will be happy to hear that. So the next part of this is using Coordinape for its core purpose, which is allocating resources. So PP16 is this idea for a universal contributor income. I am proposing that we allocate a fixed percentage of all future DAO revenue directly to contributors. At the moment, if you want to get paid by the DAO, you need to submit a grant proposal. This means that people contributing to Pocket take on a lot of risk, a lot of opportunity cost, because they have to commit the time to building something out. We've seen this time and time again: Node Pilot, Pocket Scan, Pocket Watch, etc. And build the thing, and before then submitting a grant proposal and hoping that the DAO will find your work valuable and will reimburse you for the time that you spent working on it. So far, pretty much every proposal has been approved because everyone's been doing great work. But I think that we can provide more stability to contributors and give more people who might otherwise not take on that risk the chance to get more involved as a contributor. The way Coordinape works is once people have been vouched for and inducted into this Coordinape gift circle, essentially every epoch, which is, I think it's monthly, everyone can go into Coordinape, can specify who they worked with that month, and will each have their own give tokens, which they can then tip to other people that they worked with. And that means everyone who is a contributor can recognize fellow contributors and make their own funding allocation decisions. And this ultimately generates a distribution of rewards, with the people at the top being those who were recognized by the most of their peers. So it's a peer-to-peer tipping system, essentially. And my proposal is that we dedicate 20% of future DAO revenue. Some people might think that's high, so I'm open to discussing maybe having it be smaller to start with and then ramping it up. 20% paid monthly to contributors. Last month, this would have been a total of 221,000 Pocket. And this would be distributed to people who are part of the Coordinape gift circle according to those peer-to-peer tipping systems. So rather than it being a grant proposal and you have to hope that a majority of people say yes, as long as there are some of your peers who think that what you're doing is valuable, you will get an allocation, a percentage of that payment. And one of the reasons I'm quite excited about this idea is with it being a fixed percentage of DAO revenue, which in turn is proportional to the number of relays that go through the network. Everyone is aligned around trying to maximize the growth of the network, because the more the network grows, the more is being paid out every month. So yeah, that's the two proposals relating to Coordinape. Just published them within the last hour or so. If you have any thoughts on those proposals, feel free to reply in the forum. Otherwise, if anyone has any comments or any questions right now, you can raise your hand or post a comment in the Discord channel. Okay, doesn't look like we have any questions. Oh, we got Shane here.
Yeah, I was just curious, is there a timeline or time frame on if this proposal were to pass, how long it would be before it's basically fully active?
I would be looking to implement it as soon as possible after and if it's passed. One thing I will say is part of the implementation details of the universal contributor income is that it would be paid out in Rat Pocket for a few reasons. Rat Pocket will integrate more natively with Coordinape because Coordinape is designed, has a lot of tooling to help it work with Ethereum. And the other is that we don't want to add a bunch of transaction bloat to the native Pocket blockchain. So what this means is if we do implement it, like let's say we implement the Coordinape and this income system like next week, there would basically be an IOU until that Pocket launches, at which point all of the distributions that got recorded would be paid out to contributors. So as far as the first set of payouts for this, we'd be looking at the wrap.pocket launch, which is early Q1. We have a question here from Akash. I've invited you up to the stage. Yep, there we go. Hey.
Yeah. Hi, Jack. So my question, doing the contributions to the pod community. So if any efforts can be made on the marketing side. So I have experience in making YouTube videos and writing blogs. So if something like that is something that I can do on monthly basis. So is this a kind of contribution which can be recognized?
Yep, absolutely. Any kind of contribution, really. And the great thing is, the beautiful thing about the system is, it's up to the existing contributors what they value. Anything like that. And I think maybe in addition to that, I believe there will be a fund for marketing bounties and whatnot. Pat, do you want to come up and talk a little bit about that, or?
Right now, just thinking off the top of my mind. So what would be the good way to bring this up once I have strategized something around this?
Yeah, so essentially the way it will work, it's going to be quite fluid, quite frictionless. We will have most likely a channel in Discord where people who want to contribute to Pocket can come in and say, hey, I have this skill set. I want to contribute in this way. Can someone nominate me and vouch for me to join this Coordinape circle? And then as long as at least one existing contributor thinks that your contributions would be valuable, you should get voted into this circle, and then at that point you would be eligible for people to tip you based on the work that you're doing.
Okay, that sounds good.
Hey, Mike.
I have a quick question. Who you might have touched on this. I'm not sure. I was looking at the proposal. Who gets decide? Who decides where that income goes? Like, is it existing voters? Is it another pool of people? Can you clarify and elaborate on that?
So who decides where the fixed 20%?
Yes.
Yeah. So that will be determined by the Coordinape peer-to-peer allocations. So essentially, anyone that has been nominated and vouched into the circle, every month they can specify who they worked with, and they will each have their own set of give tokens to tip to their peers, the people that they worked with, and how much they have to give will, as far as I know, will be determined by how much they received the last epoch. So the people that did the most work or were valued the most the last time round will have the more power to decide who did valuable work next time. And this peer-to-peer tipping network will generate a list of recipients along with how much they were given. And we would basically translate this into a percentage of that monthly payout, which is determined by how many relays there were as a percentage of the DAO revenue. So it's going to be quite fluid, and it's going to be like everyone that is a contributor decides it. It's going to be an emergent thing rather than requiring a majority of people to say yes or no. Hey, Pat.
Question: Is there going to be are there going to be like multiple circles, or is it a single circle that is kind of weighting and value all of the contributions? I'm trying to visualize the social graph. I'll definitely do some deep dive afterwards.
Yeah, so it's actually, as far as I'm aware, it's actually possible to have multiple circles. Like, we can have a Pocket Network organization in which there are multiple circles. I think to start with, though, we would just have a one circle, and then as it scales and we have more contributors, maybe we want to have more granularity. Maybe we want like a specific type of contribution to be valued differently to receive a different percentage of that payout. And then at that point, we spin up different circles for different categories of work, whether it's marketing or protocol dev or what have you. But yeah, to start with, we'll just have one circle.
All right, that makes sense.
So, Jack, are there any specific areas where the Pocket core team is looking for contributions or help?
So, in terms of Coordinape, it's actually not going to be the core team that decides that. It's going to be the community that decides what types of contributions are valuable. Sorry, there's a message in Telegram there. But yeah, in terms of core team, I believe Pat has sent a message into the lobby channel. You had mentioned marketing. He is workshopping some ideas for marketing bounties for content and that kind of thing. So there will be an opportunity there, as far as I'm aware. So for that, I would message Pat and get more details on that. And I'm sure that when that's fleshed out more, Pat will share more details publicly.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So yeah, as far as questions and discussion, we're actually at the end of the hour. I'm happy to stay on longer. If anyone wants to ask any questions about anything, not just this Coordinape thing that we've just been talking about, yeah, feel free to raise your hand or send a message into the Discord. We have one question here. Once wPOKT goes live, will node runners be able to attract the delegated pocket? So there won't be any delegation on Pocket. And yeah, there will be wPOKT farming, but this will all be on the wPOKT side. That won't affect how much Pocket node runners have. We will have non-custodial in 0.8, which will be one-to-one delegation, essentially, but you're not going to have like many-to-one delegation. Yeah, we have a question here. Snizzer, I've invited you to the stage.
Hello there. I was just wondering, for those of us who are less technical but really want to earn a residual income going forward after the Copper Fair launch, is there going to be like a step-by-step guide or anything like that for those of us who aren't blessed with like technical wizardry?
That's a funny way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. We will have many types of contributions that people will be able to make. And if this new system does get approved, then there will be many guides on how to participate, how to be a contributor. It could be anything from marketing, as Akash brought up, or it could be sales or collaborations with other communities and other DAOs. There's honestly, there's so many areas of contribution that would make that would benefit Pocket. So yeah, don't worry about being technical enough to earn that residual income.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another question here from Ashar.
Hi, Jack. So
Hey.
So I had a discussion with Avado team. I had quickly popped them that if they could possibly eventually provide the app integration for Pocket, and they might be okay with it. But have you guys tried to stitch some sort of partnership with them that if, for example, it won't necessarily serve the purpose if I'm just able to run the Pocket node on Avado, I have to be able to run all the other nodes as well. So is there a partnership with any sort of hardware producing companies long term that this can be done? There has to be an easier integration, right?
Yeah, so it looks like
answer
Alex
that.
is here to answer that.
Yeah, sorry, just because it was very recent and you may not know that it actually happened. I actually created a partnership room with Avado in our Discord just a few days ago. I haven't been able to give it enough attention as we've been working on this Harmony fix, but it is definitely on our docket. We previously have had integration with them, but we will look to bring it up to snuff again and back up to date.
Yes, just a follow-up question. So, for example, if you are thinking of I assume you have already whitelisted Solana as well. So my Pocket node on Avado will only be effective when I have a Solana node running on Avado as well. So
Absolutely.
theoretically, you have to work in sync with Avado. So it won't work if Avado lets me run Pocket node but does not let me run Solana node, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Like the hardware either has to have the node available on itself, or you have to have a separate stack of hardware running your data nodes. That's definitely up to your consideration. Or, of course, you could aim to be a validator and stake a lot of Pocket on one node and aim for the validation rewards.
Okay, understood. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. We have a question here from, we've got two of them. I'll bring up Packer Place first. Hey.
Hello? Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. This is my first market call. I was just chiming in because I caught the end of the conversation on Coordinape. I'd used that. I was building products for the Outrow style, and they might be a good person to talk to about how it went. I used that for a few weeks. I think done thoughtfully, it could have gone better, but people were gaming it a lot and tipping each other out, and the payouts like pretty quickly represent the amount of work that people were doing, and also the weights, like weighted values when it came to dev work versus say like promotion work. So yeah, I don't know. I connected with someone from there, but personally I didn't like it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be happy to talk to anyone with more experience. I will say this is not going to be set in stone. Any of these sort of peer-to-peer funding systems, the other one that we've considered is SourceCred. They are vulnerable to gaming. They are vulnerable to valuing like popular work more. So, for example, if someone like ships like an exciting new feature, but it's riddled with bugs, they probably get paid out a lot because most people are not going to see that the code is messy and that it's buggy. If someone then comes along and cleans up a lot of code and writes a lot of documentation, because it's not sexy work, it doesn't get paid as much, etc. There are issues like that with these types of social payment systems like Coordinape and SourceCred, and we are aware of that. I will say that this is an experiment. The main goal here is to provide more stability than we currently have, an alternate source of payment and incentives. We will be starting with Coordinape. I've also considered introducing SourceCred in a limited capacity, whether that be just measuring GitHub activity or just a Discord channel of people reporting what work they did, etc. And I think we can sort of monitor how it's going, and if there is gaming going on, then that can easily be addressed with changes and refinements. But yeah, if you want to DM me with any people that you know who've experienced it, or you said you didn't really enjoy using it, so if you want to DM me with more details on why you didn't enjoy it, then I'd be happy to hear that.
Yeah, sure. I'll DM you the guy who's running the program.
Sweet. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to bring up Relentless Crypto now. Hey.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so I'm very new to the node space. I started with Strongblock, and I had a pretty decent time with them. My only issue is sustainability with them. Now, how do you guys plan to combat sustainability? And like, do you guys have some sort of treasury system or some sort of income to supplement that?
So could you break down a bit more what you mean by sustainability?
So, for example, they're working with a treasury system from which they pay out the node creators from. And I know, like, currently right now, they don't really have any sort of continuous income to supplement that treasury. So, like, over time, that treasury is going to run out, and they're going to have to implement some sort of reduced reward system or halvening or something like that.
Got you. So yeah, I'm quite confident in the sustainability of our economics. So the rewards that nodes receive are directly proportional to the amount of traffic that's coming through from the dApps that you're serving. So the more traffic there is, the more rewards there are. And we do have a treasury, and that treasury receives 10% of all rewards. So as long as there's traffic going through the network, there will be a sustained source of income, both to nodes and to the DAO. And what we were just talking about is where the DAO is receiving 10% of that sustained income, another percentage of that, of the DAO's income, would also then go to contributors. So yeah, I'm quite optimistic about the sustainability of our economics.
Okay, and then just one more little thing. Is there anybody currently doing like recaps or for your AMAs or community calls? That way, like, you know, anybody that missed it could get the information.
We're recording this call, which will be uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, that should be uploaded. Typically, they're uploaded the weekend after. I mean, Alberto, you can come up and correct me if I'm saying anything wrong here. But yeah, the recording should be uploaded to YouTube shortly.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And things like recaps and like different curations are a form of contribution that basically anybody at any point can add to an ecosystem that I, for one, as a member who probably will have some clout, consider very valuable.
Right, of course. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great example, actually. Some people had asked about whether they can earn income if they're non-technical. That sort of curation effort is a great example of something that people will be able to do to earn some pocket. Okay, I'm going to bring up Cohen again. Hey.
Yeah, earlier we were touching on Harmony relays, and I wanted to follow up on that. Is it the case that most of the Harmony relays are served by Pocket Foundation nodes going to Harmony Foundation RPCs? And two, does it mean that the current problem mean that there is no relays being served to any of the other Pocket runners who are also serving Harmony?
So no, the as you can see by Pocket Scan, Harmony is still our biggest chain in relays per day. And what Pocket Scan shows you is relays actually paid out to node runners. So there's no interruption in actual Harmony node service to node runners. If you run nodes that are servicing Harmony, you'll see they're still getting relays. There's very good relays, very good traffic. Like, we're still 3 times above where we were like a month or 2 ago. So no, Harmony is still going. Those are all people who have either switched over to using our public RPC themselves, because we have a public RPC that's a plain URL that anyone can use, or they are apps that have come into our portal and requested their own endpoints, and we have quite a few of those too, that have purposely switched over to Pocket. So the public API redirection is done via DNS. So on their DNS for the Harmony APIs, the team has a dial that they can dial traffic to us at any certain percentage. Right now, that dial is set to 0. So once we roll out this change and we're happier with this fix, I'm going to go back to Jack and the Harmony team, and I'm going to say, hey, let's dial it up to 5%. And that way, we're going to get 5% of the full API traffic, and we're going to watch our logs. They're going to watch the log, watch the timing, watch the stickiness. We're going to test the various apps that had trouble with our request ordering that specifically caused us to be turned off on the public API. So to answer the questions, yeah, there's still plenty of Harmony traffic going. There's going to be more. And yeah, there's nothing like the altruists are taking over. There's no Pocket Foundation nodes that are taking more Harmony traffic. The foundation only actually has 20 staked nodes on mainnet, and those are really not to earn profit. Those are to support chains, nascent chains, as they come up through the ecosystem. So very small chains that almost no one else supports, like IOTEX and things like that. The foundation runs nodes to support those, and they also serve Harmony. But it's only about 20 nodes, so it isn't like it's taking a big cut of the profit. If there was anything else I missed in your question, please feel free, Cohen.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused because at the same time you say it's not interrupted, but at the same time the DNS is dialed to 0.
Well, there's two separate things. Like their DNS, we went through a big rigmarole to actually serve their URLs through our system. So we actually can serve API.harmony.1 with full SSL throughout the chain. So we actually serve that as us. That's currently turned off. But we have a public RPC endpoint, Harmony 0 RPC.gateway.pocket.network, that anyone can use, and many apps are using. So there's plenty of traffic still going through our Harmony network. It's just not directly coming from their API. We also had a number of apps, like I said, switch over to us completely. So they got off of the Harmony public API, came to our portal, got their endpoints, and are now using Pocket. So that's the traffic that's still going through the system. And like you can see on Pocket Scan, it's still 2 or 3 times more than Ethereum.
Cool, thanks.
I would just like to add one thing. Alex was very good in describing the different but I do want to kind of address the narrative that like Pocket has it will and can consume all of Harmony's direct API traffic. Essentially, that dial that right now is set to 0 will go up in certain intervals. We like to test it. We like to kind of, gradually move to it, but it's never the objective for us to be 100% of that. We've been quite transparent in working with Harmony. They've been transparent with us to say they want to have several decentralized options. We just happen to be the first. And so, as we think about, having their traffic routed to us, we're happy to do so. But I don't want anyone to think that Harmony's, service is going to be wholly dependent on us. Recommend there be redundancy, and we're happy to collaborate with others. The Harmony chain is diversified, and we like being a majority of that dial number, but like we're not going to be 100%. That's not in our spirit, and that's not our goal. So Harmony itself is choosing to diversify it across many. We just happen to be the first.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I'd also like to point out that the Harmony traffic that was going for many weeks. It was going for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time and was building and building and building. Was great. Everybody was quite happy with it. So it's a very small percentage of apps that have this ordering problem, and it was only noticed after we had 3 or 4 weeks of this great traffic that suddenly this app came on and said, "Hey, what's going on with our request there?" It was a very small percentage of traffic that had issue with us. The vast majority of Harmony users and Harmony apps were quite happy with the Pocket responses. Looks like we lost Jack. Was it due to internet? Well, Rich is the more eloquent meeting advisor, so I will let him take over the community call.
I politely disagree, but just in time, Jack's back, so you're on stage.
Yeah, I was trying to take a screenshot of all of the attendees in case the bot for the Pope ends up failing. And accidentally joined on my laptop, which is how that happened. So yeah, but I'm back. Okay, I'm going to bring up Nate Rod now. Hey, you're muted at the moment.
Thank you, Jack, for extending the call today. Quick question for node runners who support the long-term vision of Pocket. Have we considered providing incentives for node runners to lock up their Pocket for a period of time, maybe starting at like a year and up to 5 years?
That's a really interesting proposition. I mean, someone from the protocol team can join, but I'm not sure that if we introduce a mechanism like that on chain, it would probably require a consensus breaking change. At the moment, node runners, when they stake, are committing to at least 21 days because unstaking takes 21 days. But yeah, as far as like having variable lockups for like a year to 5 years, I'm not sure how feasible that would be on chain. Do we have anyone from the protocol team who wants to weigh in on that? If not, we can. If not, we can actually we could discuss that async as well. You could post to the forum with the suggestion and get people's take on that. Hey Adam, did you want to say something about that? Oh, nope. Oh, he's back. Hello.
Hey Nate, thanks for joining and asking the question. It's something we're beginning to consider as part of the long-term strategy. I don't know if there's any on-chain way to do it, but there might be an off-chain way to kind of come to those agreements. But for the benefit of the overall protocol and the benefit of the circulating supply, it might be worth trying to figure something out. So when we take that offline, I'm happy to chime in on that.
That's very helpful, guys. Thank you.
No problem. I'm going to bring up IA now. Hey.
I wanted to ask about what do you see as like the next, engine of growth, for the network, right? Harmony was a big booster. Are there any plans for the next thing?
So we have Rich. Hey, Rich, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I want to try and give an answer without too many specifics. But I will put a couple of specific names out there. To get started, I think that we've acknowledged internally that like we just have to be more transparent with our kind of growth strategy. And so, we speak to a lot of different types of potential partners, be them chains, be them tools, just specific apps. And we want to keep those, to their preference, somewhat anonymous. But for any other data out there that we can kind of publish and, distribute to the community, we want to do that because, we don't want to put specific numbers on what our growth will be, but we do have some, estimates out there and we want to make that data public. So I think that's something that hopefully by the next community calls, we'll kind of, progressively distribute that data. I think just to throw out names there that have been important to us, a lot of the team has been in Lisbon for different conferences. So that includes a Cosmos conference, a Lisbon conference, Solana. And we have a lot of apps and growth to go in those, ecosystems. Probably not Ethereum, but definitely Cosmos and Solana. But then there's also just new ecosystems altogether. So we've spun up kind of individual chains like IoTex. I think we're working on right now called Evmos, which can drive some growth. But there's actually a lot in just the Cosmos ecosystem and, kind of their individual chains on the IBC system could be driving some growth. So I do want to throw some names out there that could, entice the group. But generally speaking, I think the impetus on us is to just be more transparent with this data so the community doesn't have to be guessing where the next Harmony or the next growth prospects will be coming. Hopefully that helps you, IA. Cool. I hope that was an answer, but not too much of a non-answer.
No, that's helpful, and I'll definitely be looking. And maybe it will also be good, right? Kind of as you guys are a bit more transparent with that. A lot of the community has relationship in many of the projects, and so another thing, just another benefit for the transparency would be that we would be able to kind of try and help as much as we can to connect and help with some of these new networks or apps.
Absolutely agree. I think there's work to be done for community referrals, as well as just generating different types of inbounds. But we're going to start with transparency and kind of build from there.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for that answer, Rich. Just to add on to that, I think the next real phase after this kind of next batch of ecosystems that we go to is going to be figuring out how to activate everyone in the community. So, we're we view ourselves on the team that does what we call like business development as a bootstrapping mechanism to kind of kick off the flywheel. That's not the long-term vision. The long-term vision is to make this thing kind of self-sustain on its own, and that's going to require everyone that's sitting in this room right now to kind of pitch in and help drive Pocket forward. This can't be managed by a few people sitting in a room and going to conferences. This is the Pocket community coming together and building this thing as a whole. So we'll figure out a way to kind of make that happen. Transparency is obviously the first step of that, but then we're going to focus mostly on activation and enablement of everyone here.
Cool. Thanks again. Yeah, looking forward.
Looks like we don't have any more hand raised at the moment. Got a good bit of discussion going on in the lobby channel, but it seems people are answering each other there, so I'm not sure we need to bring it up to the stage unless anyone does want to come up to the stage with a specific question.
I have one more thing, Jack, if that's okay. So we've been running Node Runner office hours for a little while. It's been very informal. It's a very informal gathering of some people that run nodes or some people that have questions. I'm happy to announce I'm going to turn that over to Jinx from now on. So Jinx will be organizing Node Runner office hours. He may change the date and the time, but it's a great way to come in if you're new to node running, new to Pocket, want to ask some questions about how to run a node or how to make your node more profitable. It was great a few times. We've had some good discussions in there. So I'm going to leave the agenda, if there is an agenda, up to Jinx and the day and the time. So check our events calendar, and also we'll announce it in the Node Runners. But we'll have more organized and hopefully more contribution in our Node office hours in the coming weeks. Thanks, Jack.
No problem. That's awesome. I haven't attended many Node Runner office hours, but I might do it if Jinx is now hosting. Do we have any more questions? Lots going on in the lobby and in Telegram. Okay. I think we might be good to wrap up. Keep an eye out in your DMs for the link. Oh, we've got one. Someone just raised their hand. I'll bring you up, Nash. You need to accept the stage invite. There we go. You're unmuted.
Hi guys.
Hey.
First of all, wanted to say thank you for running this. And to keep this short, so I have I've been in conversations with the global network provider called Equinix, and they have a service through which they are gonna offer in 2022 hardware, basically servers all around the world in many areas where currently Pocket does not have a lot of presence or nodes, like for example South America, Africa, all around Asia as well. So wanted to ask you, would there be interest in basically looking at the offerings from their program, and if so, who should I forward that information to? Thank you.
You could. So you're saying there's a node provider who might be able to participate?
So what I'm saying is that there is an organization that I'm working to bring up validators for some other programs not related to Pocket. But when I mentioned Pocket to them, they mentioned that they are gonna have hardware, basically machines that we could run, the node operators could run Pocket on throughout different places in the world. And when I look at those places, we are currently those are the places where we do not have a lot of Pocket presence right now. So the question is, if there would be interest in looking at this hardware offerings, who should I forward that information to?
My gut instinct is that the best approach, since it would be up to individual node runners whether they want to use that hardware service, would be to try and have that service be added to the list of node providers. We have a page on the forum with a list of recommended third-party node providers, and from the sounds of it, this would be similar situation, or it would be, I guess, like node runners like Jinx who use data centers for their nodes.
Yes, correct. This would be basically bare metal. So people would have to do their own thing.
Yeah.
As a node operator, that's actually really appealing, and I think that Jack's suggestion of getting it into the docs as possible bare metal operators is great. It's actually very difficult to find suitable hardware in APAC and the areas that you mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I was going to suggest we have this page, this list of node providers, but perhaps we should add a list of bare metal providers as well. And then with that list, we could add these people that you're working with to the list as well. So yeah, just DM me, and I'll arrange to create a list of bare metal providers, and we can start as a community to curate any bare metal providers so that people who are looking for one can find that easily.
Awesome, will do. Thank you.
Thank you. You're bringing up Alex now, Alex B.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, thank you for the holding the community call. I'm interested in running a node. I did some research. I'm not super technical, so I found out that I need to buy some Pocket off OTC and then get through Coder. I'm just wondering, like, if something happens to Coder, or like, is it like if there are slashes? How much involvement does that actually require if I just like run a node through Coder without very in-depth technical knowledge?
Yeah, so these third-party node providers, you essentially have no involvement other than, I guess, receiving updates on how well your nodes are doing. It's pretty hands-off. You are trusting them with your keys, essentially. There's no non-custodial service yet. The version 0.8 of the protocol will enable you to essentially delegate your Pocket to a node provider, so that there's no longer that element of trust there. I know some node providers like Coder have insurance, which can help to reassure you. But yeah, as far as like technical knowledge, it's pretty hands-off running your nodes with one of these providers.
And then you're saying you could nominate validators. When is this coming?
This would be coming in version 0.8. I'm not sure of the timeline on that. I expect it to. I assume it's going to be early next year. For V0.8, if anyone knows any different, they can raise a hand or jump up to correct me. But yeah. For now, it's you're trusting these node providers with your keys, but I mean, I get those questions all the time, and it's been more than a year now for many of these providers. They custody a lot of Pocket. They run nodes for a lot of community members, and I mean, it's better for these providers to keep providing that service and earning a cut of the revenue in the long run than to cut and run. So I think the incentives are aligned there.
Got it. And you mentioned that there's also community members that help onboard, like people interested to run a node. Are there like trusted community members, or?
So you mean in terms of providing support and helping to learn how to run the node yourself?
That, or how to like get the OTC and stuff. Like, is there trusted people who sell OTC, or?
Yeah, so we have so for both node providers and OTC, we have lists on the forum. I'll post them to the lobby channel in the in Discord. But we have a list of OTCs that have been vetted. and we have a list of node providers that have been vetted. And both those categories of service providers have done a lot of business. So at this point, you're not going to be a guinea pig, and they are trustworthy. But yeah, I'll post links in the lobby channel to make it easy for you. Oh, Pat has also, yep, we've got a duplicate link there, and then so that's the node providers in the lobby channel, and then this other one I just posted is the link to all of the OTC markets.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's amazing the service that you guys do, and I think it's a huge future for the project. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. So I'm hesitant to start saying this because the last time I did, someone else raised their hand. But keep an eye out in your DMs for a link to claim the Pope for attending this event. Some people asked in Telegram if Popes have value. I don't believe they do, although given how many Pope farmers we've had in the past, maybe they know something I don't. It's really just it's a really awesome pocket design NFT that Christian, our resident designer, put together, and a nice memento of attending the call. So yeah, if you do want to receive that link, you're going to have to make sure that your privacy settings allow DMs from people that you're not friends with. Otherwise, you won't receive that link. But yeah, that should be getting sent out shortly after this call wraps up. Thanks, everyone. I think we can wrap up now.